Hi, Nerd Mom here, and this isn't strictly a media thing, but it's something that I wanted to share that I did with my son. It's a sciencey thing, which is really cool. This is our terrarium. About 2 years ago, I saw this fish tank on the side of the road with a sign that said free on it, so I picked it up, and I didn't want to take care of fish or have a lot of water because I didn't even know if it was watertight. I suppose I could have tested it, but I wanted to do something else, so I decided to do a terrarium. At the time, my son was probably about 3.5 or 4, and it was a project that we did together. I don't think he really understood that much about what we were doing, but it was fun for him. So I looked up online how the best way to make a terrarium, and so basically you start with some sort of large rocks or gravel. I used some of those like decorative, like they're basically like squashed marbles, like little glass pieces. You can get them from a craft store or from like Petco in the fish department. So you could use like fish gravel or something like that, just some big chunks. And then on top of that, you need to get something called activated charcoal, which you can order really easily online, or I think you can get it at any garden store or like Home Depot or something like that. Although you might have to look around a little bit. Then a layer of nice dirt, and then on top you just get some little plants, some mosses, which you could either pick up outside or you can actually order those too, I think on Amazon. I got a selection of like fairy plants, which are just little miniature plants, and some mosses as well. So we use those. The moss kind of all died out, but it's kind of hard to see here, but there's actually like moss that has grown itself, that is apart from the original stuff that we got. So this has been really interesting to do over a long period of time. At first, it was just kind of like, oh, that's cute, and there's some plants on the end of my counter. But as time has gone on, this has really developed its own ecology and its own little like life cycle and stuff. As you can see right now, you can't really see through the glass because it's all fogged up. In the morning it gets fogged up, and then in the afternoon it will kind of clear up, as in the morning the sun comes through and warms it up, and it gets kind of a lot of condensation on the window. So the best thing about this is it's a repository for all of the insects and bugs that my son finds. He has become a major collector of roly-polies. So this entire thing is inhabited by like a giant colony of roly-polies. And anywhere you look in here, you can see little roly-polies. You can see them on the side digging and stuff. Every once in a while we find a worm, we throw it in. It's actually good for the whole thing because at first, when we first got this, I was having to go in periodically to like trim the plants and to take out mold because it would get moldy from time to time on the top, just from, I think, all the moisture, although the activated charcoal does a good job from keeping it from going down. But now it basically takes care of itself because we've got all these insects and other things. We've got, let's see, we've got roly-polies, some worms. I don't know if the worms are still alive. We've got a caterpillar. We've got a few snails. And we just discovered that there's a stick bug in here. And neither of us put a stick bug in here. So he must have come in on maybe as an egg on a leaf that we put in here, because sometimes when my son is collecting roly-polies, he'll grab some leaves and stuff to stick in with them, and he'll just dump it in. So we accidentally got a stick bug, which was really cool. I just noticed that like a lot of the plants were getting eaten more than usual, because roly-polies are pretty tiny and they don't eat a whole lot. And actually snails do much less damage than I thought they would. And then suddenly, like, all these plants just got trimmed back. This used to be like super green here. And I looked around and there's this big stick bug in there. So it's really cool. Basically, we've gone back to this over and over again, just kind of as my son learns about like the water cycle at school. I just say, yeah, it's kind of like this, right? We don't have to water these plants in here. We have to water our plants outside, but we don't have to water these plants because it's all self-contained in here. The fish tank actually came with like a mesh lid, but I got a piece of plastic cut for it, and then I just keep this little suction cup thing here so we can lift it up and put stuff in if we want. So yeah, it's a really good tool for like it's a concrete visual tool for him to look at and see like, yeah, this is like a mini version of our own environment. Like we're in a closed environment, the earth, well, mostly closed. And you know, all of these life forms in here keep things balanced. Like the plants grow and the bugs eat them and then they poop and it fertilizes the soil and so on and so forth. So there's lots of really interesting things that you can talk about here. And it doesn't you know, if you want to build one of these, it doesn't necessarily have to be this huge. Although it does, I think it works well because it is fairly large. You know, it's just, there's a lot more to be dealt with here. But yeah, it's really fun to see and to kind of tend now and then, and it's really low maintenance because, you know, I'll notice that it's overgrown or something. I'll be like, hey, we should throw another snail in there. So over time, it's become just something neat that's there that we can refer to when it comes up. So I would definitely recommend this project. It was really fun and, you know, simultaneously educational. Thank you.